Hey guys, I just wanted to share a video. I had to replace my FEP because it got a hole in it, and I also had to replace my polarizing screen. This is the result of my very first print. Obviously it is printing, but that is what is left on the bed. The other thing, if I can show this, is there's a sheet of cured resin across the whole base plate. So I'm not sure why it printed that, and then it also printed the actual thing that I was trying to print, not perfectly. There's definitely some errors and issues in it. And then when I went to go filter out my resin and pull this up, I noticed that all of kind of this area around it was cured as well. I'll be pulling this off the plate here in just a minute, but I just wanted to share. So I think one of my challenges, I'm just seeing this too, I don't know, nope, it's not on it, that would be under it. So I replaced my polarizing screen, and when you go in and let's see, tools, exposure, and we'll test it. So you can see that's the whole screen. And then if we hit the smaller area, it is blocking with the polarizing screen. So, and obviously I got a print off of it. Just trying to figure out what specifically, if it's the orientation of the polarizing filter. I'm going to try a few different orientations and I'll share my results. Hey, so in case you've never seen this view of your Mono X, this is what happens when you accidentally put a hole in your FEP, get resin on your screen, cure that resin on your screen, and then razor your screen clean. But of course, unknowingly, by doing that, you remove your polarizing screen that is also on top. So I wanted to show this just in case anybody was going through this, where I am resolving that issue. There is a glass screen there. This is the mono screen that is basically razored clean and ready to go. So I'm not replacing the screen, which is about a $200 replacement. I am instead putting on the new polarized filter on top of it. I've done this once already unsuccessfully. I reordered new polarizing screens, and so we're going to have another attempt and see how that ends up looking. So real quick, just to give you an idea of what this can look like, if I go to my exposure and do a test. So this is the screen open. If you have a polarizing screen in there, then you can see the box that is supposed to be in it that is not visible without a polarizing screen, which means if you were to have resin in your vat and the screen were not, the polarizing screen weren't there, it would just cure an entire block of resin and not work out well. So one of the things I want to show you of the wrong way and what happens if you do it incorrectly, I looked at some instructions that were online, and it said to cut this at a 15-degree angle, and I did. But I want you to show if I turn this a little bit more, you can see how much more light is being blocked, like a lot. So I should have installed it at that angle, instead of just looking at what was, on the page as the quote-unquote the right angle. Now I've already cut this sheet and I've already put it into size, so I can't use this one anymore. So I have a new sheet. The difference in this one is it does have the adhesive on it, which my last one did not. So we're going to see if this works. I may end up having to order another sheet. We'll see. But still cheaper than the $200 for the whole screen. So I'm just going to do a 10-second test real quick and show you what this one looks like when it's in. Now this is just straight up horizontal. Now I can turn it and figure out what the best orientation is, but it looks like horizontal actually may be the best orientation. So I'm going to do a test for a little bit longer. Instead of 10 seconds, let's do 45 seconds. Oh, and then next. Alright, so we're going to do this test. And I'm literally using the camera on my phone to figure out when the light is darkest. And I feel like maybe there. So zooming out, that is not square, but it's pretty darn close if you're looking at the angle on the side. So again, if I tilt, when is it darkest? Now you'll notice that this is not as dark as this one was, as far as blocking. So if I switch this to its darkest, it almost blacks out entirely right there. So this is why I'm saying I might have to get another screen. Maybe this one, the $11 one for 2 sheets, does not have as much blocking power as this one was, I think, for $18. Now, you can only see the polarizing level when you have the 2 sheets against themselves. If you turn them where the linear is opposite each other, that's where they phase out into black. And so basically what's happening with this mono screen that's on here is it's sending out one pattern of light, and by having this in the right orientation, it's going to block the other phase of light. So doing one more test just to give you the full 360. So this is what would be considered installed properly and working. If it's turned the wrong way, it flips, number one, so it's going to block the wrong light, the other polarized light, and not what we want. So I do want to try it at this kind of slightly off angle, and I'm going to get my size here, and I have to cut it to fit, and then place it on, and we'll do a test print. So I'll be right back with that. Real quick, I just wanted to share this as well. This was a print that I got off of another video that was supposed to show the right angle to cut your transparency at. It would be easy. So if you follow the 90-degree angle on the page and you cut the square there, which is the template that I used, then it'll line up correctly and be the right angle. In my case, you can see how off on the plate this would have been if it were square. My current transparency is where I actually need it to be, and we'll cut it square and actually accomplish the filtering that we need. And so I just wanted to use this as an example to say maybe I think all the right intentions were there. This is obviously done in the most easy to do format, but I think maybe the polarizing screen isn't always in that particular orientation. And so if I can slide this out without moving my sheet, I'll show you. This is about the angle. That's actually a little off now. It moved. That's about the angle of what mine would be to be correct. So let me do one more transparency test just to show you the exposure that we're using here. So you can kind of see if I tilt there, it's perfect. So that's my particular angle that works for my filter, my sheet, my everything. But that doesn't really line up with the other sheet's example. So what I'm going to do is basically mark these 4 corners and then cut this and go ahead and place it down, and we'll run a quick video and show that, and I'll share the result. Alright, we are post installation now. I'm going to go in here to my exposure test and just show, hey, look at that. So this is much darker than my previous version, and is blocking the light that should be blocked, and is letting through the light that should be let through. There's a few bubbles from the adhesive for putting it in. I've been trying to slowly work those towards the edges. I do have my little plastic razor, and very, very gently just kind of pushing those as you can towards those edges to hopefully get it down as securely as possible. I would still recommend re-leveling your build plate once this is done, just in case. I didn't know, obviously, under the electrical tape how loose this plate was. I mean, it's literally completely a separate, very easy to take off piece, which kind of makes me a little bit more nervous. But just, you know, for other people that have the Mono X, FYI, that comes up very easily. I would imagine that also means that it's very easy to replace the screen if you ever needed to, because you just flip this little plate up here. Looks like there's, I'm not going to do it because it feels like there's some adhesive under this, but you can definitely tell that that's the components plate. Anyway, I'll end this with a post print just to prove that it is working, and I hope this helps anybody that may run into an issue if you accidentally did not put a screen protector on there. I've only had my Mono for about a month, and I've been printing nonstop and kind of just didn't realize how important that was. I had a Photon before that, and anytime I got resin on the screen, I just took a razor and took it right off, no big deal. That is obviously not the case with this. But I haven't seen, and trust me, I've been looking, I have not seen an in-depth explanation of how to install the polarizing screens, or the difference in the orientation specifically for the Mono as far as like the angles. I just saw that little printout for the angle, and that doesn't work for everybody, or at least it didn't work for me. So whenever you get your screen, I would definitely do that test of just have the exposure test on, work your alignment until you see its darkest orientation, mark those, and then that's what you're looking for. So good luck, everybody. Alright, several hours later, I wanted to give an update. This is the build plate of the dice that I was trying to print. There's no stuck resin to anything on the FEP, and the polarizer seems to be installed properly and not having any issues. This is definitely the quality that we were going for. Everything came out. This is probably the best version of this print that I've had since I had the printer. Everything came out really, really perfectly. Nothing adhered to the screen. I didn't show this earlier, and I meant to, but this is the print when it was an improperly installed polarizer. So it basically printed this whole sheet of the entire build plate, and then we also had several kind of failures. I don't know if you can see in the print itself, like it didn't print correctly, the quality's not there, and obviously it printed a whole sheet of resin, which is not what we were looking to do either. So that's what happens when your polarizer is installed incorrectly. This is what happens when your polarizer is installed correctly. So I do hope this video helps other people. If you are trying to, hopefully you just don't have this issue. Everything is, you know, working fine. You replace your FEPs as needed. But if you do accidentally get a hole in your FEP and don't have a screen protector on, and don't have all the measures in place to prevent having to replace the polarizer, I hope this video helps you with replacing it properly so that you can get your printer going again. I will link the materials used in the description below, but this was just a $11 2 sheets from Amazon, polarizing sheets that did have the adhesive on it, and it was a relatively easy fix as long as it's installed properly. So you don't have to buy a $200 replacement screen. I was just very carefully went over it with a razor blade to remove the old polarizer and get that out, and then went in with some Windex and alcohol to get it really crystal clear clean, everything off of it, and then bought the new polarizing sheets. And once the first one I did, I showed you, making sure that it's oriented properly and getting that where you're getting the right coverage. Make sure you're looking from overhead. And frankly, using a cell phone screen was really helpful. Like using the camera and looking at the camera to see how much light is being blocked was really helpful in doing this. So maybe that's just a tip. Outside of that, you guys, good luck and happy printing.